Uncle Pat, you heard the latest joke in Parliament?
No, I haven't heard that.
Huh? You don't watch Parliament election, eh?
No, I'm interested in other stuff.
Other stuff such as?
Entertainment
Actually, you talk about entertainment, Parliament, not like before, no, very dull, no. Nowadays, Parliament, very, very entertaining, you know.
I have confidence that you will do so, Mr. Lam.
You know, the NCMP, Mrs. Lina Cham, asked one question in Parliament, you know.
What question?
She asked, how many times the reserve has been used, because our former president said that it was used 27 times.
Okay, 27
You
times.
didn't see this one, It was reported in the newspaper also.
I think I did, but it was quite
One
small.
tiny little one at the bottom, yeah.
Ah.
But actually, when I saw this question, I said, this one, the question sounds kind of funny, right?
Yes.
Because if the president say use 27 times, maybe 27 times now, why still go and ask how many times, right?
Correct.
Then I go and check back, see what is the media report. This was just before the last election in August 2011, you know. What happened was our former president, just before he left office, threw a bombshell on the Singaporean. He announced that the reserves has been used for at least 27 times.
27 times since?
I don't know whether it was since what, but then I realized the NCMP Lina Cham, the question is not a silly question because the media report says at least 27 times. So now she asked how many times. So you guess how many times?
30?
Where got so little? Some more
40?
Some more
50?
Some more
60?
Not so many
Not so many,
Singapore only independent for 48 years, maybe 60 times.
Okay.
So the answer in Parliament was that the reserves has been used for 55 times since 2002, you know.
55 times. Was it reported in news?
Yeah. Of course, until now they report. Before, all the Singaporeans thought the reserve can be used for rainy day.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember, I think said only once.
Yeah. This year, in April, the newspaper report say the reserve only used once for the last financial crisis, 2009, for the job credit scheme or something like.
Yeah, correct.
They used 4.9 billion.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. So everybody thought only used once, right?
Yeah.
But now we realize it's not 27 times, it's 55 times since 2002. But you say it's 55 times since 2002, does it mean before 2002 never used, is it?
How many times then? Before that? Since
but that's why I say Parliament nowadays very entertaining, you know.
Yeah, true. It sounds more entertaining.
And the funniest thing is, I think the most important piece of information is missing, you know.
What information is that?
I give you a clue
Okay.
Guess or not?
How many times before 2002?
No that one talk already.
Not already. Let me think.
Never mind. By the time you think, I think it's tomorrow morning already. You see, I give you an analogy.
Okay.
Let's say we have one bank account together.
Yeah, okay.
Then you go to the bank, you take money out. Then you take 55 times. Right?
Correct.
So if you tell me you take 55 times, what's the most obvious question I will ask you?
How much you take?
How much you take? Correct. But this one, the reply in Parliament never say how much. You know what the 55 times the reserve was used for?
I don't know. I only know 50
because
times.
Singaporean everything don't know
Don't know not my. I can do anything about it.
Okay anyway in Parliament they explain the reserve used 55 times. Okay, is for land reclamation and SIRS. SIRS is selective on block redevelopment program. That means the HDB flat tear down the old one, then build the new one. Then they explain, because this one is not really drawing down on the reserves, you know, because it's just converting the financial assets, the money, to the state land. So in the end, you sell the land, also go back to the financial assets. So it's like, you know, from financial assets to state land, then back to financial asset. So it's not really like drawing down or using the reserves.
Okay.
You look very puzzled, I also very puzzled. But the way I look at this, let's say if I take the money to reclaim land, then after reclaim the land already, the land sell already, then of course make money, right? But while I'm reclaiming the land, I'm pumping money into the economy.
Correct.
So nowadays we have a big issue called QE3. You know what's QE3?
No, I also don't.
This quantitative easing 3 lah. That means all over the world the government all pumping money into the economy
To pump up the economy.
So if we take the reserve, then reclaim land is like pumping money into the economy
Correct.
So maybe the GDP will grow
Correct.
Then maybe got one slight issue,
What's the issue then?
because at one time some people the pay the bonus depend on the GDP
8-month bonus.
something like that don't know how many month but depend on GDP
Yeah.
So if I take money from the reserve, then I pump money to the economy, then the GDP go up, then my bonus go up
That's conflict of interest.
So maybe like that maybe use 55 times not enough must use more
More lah.
If you don't take money from the reserve,
Yep.
that means you must take the money from the budget every year to spend to reclaim land
Correct.
So if I take money from the budget to reclaim land, then it's considered as expenditure
Correct.
So expenditure will reduce the budget surplus or even if let's say spend so much expenditure may even become a deficit
Correct.
So if I take the reserve to pump in money, then I
Cannot
reduce
see
my then forever then forever I have budget surplus So it's like up to me I take as many times as much money I like, I can always make the budget in surplus
Okay. So it's that's why. Okay.
Very confusing, right?
Very confusing. But now I get
sure the SIRS one, the HDB even more confusing. Now SIRS means you compensate people to take over their flat, then you give them the flat in exchange
Correct.
Okay. So when you compensate them, you don't straight away give them money You wait until the new flat ready, then but most of the time I think most people they will just take the new flat in exchange.
Okay.
So there's no compensation.
Then there's no cash transfer also.
So I cannot understand this one, Maybe the reserve is used to buy the new land where the HDB flat is built right?
But I think HDB have their own funds, right?
So this is a very good question because HDB say every flat they build they lose money
Yeah, correct.
Every year the deficit is $1 or $2 billion
if the money is coming from the reserve to pump into SIR, then why is HDB losing money?
That one I don't know. I'm not accountant. Are you accountant?
No, I'm not an accountant.
So this one very puzzling We all don't know
Correct,
Maybe the accounting the expert they have to tell us